Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom Media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
This is the Red Kingdom Media Live POSTGAME Show.
Welcome to this Week 11 edition of the Red Kingdom Media Live Postgame Show, where sadly your Kansas City Chiefs fall to the Buffalo Bills with a final score of 30-21. Snapping their undefeated streak, will no longer be the undefeated going into the Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. Pipe dream, Chiefs franchise record of 9 wins in a row continues to be the record intact now, as the Chiefs did not get their 10th win here this evening. But we are your hosts for probably a very somber, but I guess not so much unexpected night. And obviously, for those watching the live post game right now, you will notice there's only 2 of us. So that should have been even a bigger omen for the outcome that was this game, as Lonnie is not here with us. But I am your host, Clinton, and joined as my other host, Daily Dale. And we will be breaking down this game for you. And as I said, kind of a heartbreaker. But Dale, what are your thoughts about this 9-point defeat here?
I mean, it was a tough loss for the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of people was expecting this loss as well too, and I definitely understand. I was one of those who was still optimistic, hoping for a win, but I wasn't that frustrated as well too, just because I was preparing for it, and we know that the Buffalo Bills always play as great in the regular season as well too. So you got to give them their credit. But overall, definitely would like to see more from the offense. It's like they look great when they are moving the ball down the field, then they cap it off with a touchdown. But then they have those moments to where, they give up a sack. Mahomes throws some type of weird interception. And then, you have a Xavier Worthy as well, too, in certain moments where I like that he was able to, have some big plays in this matchup, but he doesn't have great field awareness, on the outside by the sideline, not understanding, like, bring his feet in, because who knows with that drive, you said it earlier when we was talking as well too, that was a 9-point swing, which what they just beat us by 9 points. So if you get that, now you're playing ahead of you're playing ahead of the curve, or what we kind of predicted beforehand. But other than that, I mean, when it comes to these type of moments, and I don't like to knock other teams where they beat us as well too, because they definitely earned that win. But at the same time, when you're a Chiefs fan and you can get into these moments, we know what we do when it comes into the postseason as well. We know that we come prepared, and it's usually a different outcome. So now they got that monkey off their back with getting their first loss. Don't have to worry about having a perfect season now what we're trying to do is trying to stay ahead and have more wins within them by the end of the season, so we can keep that 1 seed and hopefully get a bye week.
Or we get chunk plays and they get wiped out by 2 terrible tackles. Not wrong there. So you all will probably hear my voice very somber tonight, but I can't say that I'm not surprised by the outcome of this game. I just had a feeling that the energy was not here in the Chiefs' favor, and I think the 2 biggest takeaways for me, the couple on offense. You said it. Xavier Worthy, he flashed as like the key player in this game, and he still underperformed. And in a night where he was about the only player who could really get anything done, other than the occasional Noah Gray play here and there, he was really needed, and his continued mistakes, once you do it these several weeks in a row, it's no longer mistakes. It's like kind of a coaching error and just kind of neglecting getting that resolved, because the Chiefs are in desperate need of these deep passes and these plays that he is responsible for or supposed to be responsible for. And not hitting on those plays results in the score that the Chiefs had for this game. And then flipping over to the defense, the 28-point record streak for the Chiefs officially snapped. 30 points to Josh Allen and Buffalo Bills. That's that hurts. This Chiefs defense did not play to a standard that they have been setting. And obviously, there's been some moments they stepped up. They got a key fourth down stop. But here towards the end of the game, when you really needed to keep the score from getting out of reach, officially growing to that 2-score margin, Josh Allen just continued to do what he's good at and just made sure the game was in his hands. And they put the game away right then and there, and didn't allow it to be put in the toe of their kicker like last week. And maybe learn their lesson, let their best player keep possession of the ball. But my final takeaway is just if you would have told me that the Chiefs would lose this game, I would not be completely shocked. But if you told me that this team lost by 2 scores, I would have said there's no way. So when you just say that out loud, like it was obvious there was something wrong. And, it's going to take us jumping in the film room and watching stuff back and getting a deeper perspective. But just kind of watching it as it happened, we both agree before we jumped on that, they just got beat outright, plain and simple. And that's, I think, the most disappointing part is if you would have gone down here in the final minutes and just come up short, or your new kicker didn't quite get the distance or something like that, we can live with that. But this is a more, I guess, painful defeat because it's not as close, and you really did not feel during the game that the Chiefs had Buffalo's number and were ready to take the game over, and that Buffalo was always able to turn up the temperature, whether it was offense or defense that needed to step up at that time. But the Buffalo was always able to make the play in that moment. So.
Yeah, I mean, they another point that was made in the comments as well too. I think we should have probably addressed the secondary though, at least. With Jalen Watson being out, it's kind of obvious that, with him being out there, we saw something similar to what we had last year, right? When Steve was back there, we didn't have too many worries. So I think they should have, figured out something before the trade deadline, at least try to at least get someone over, at least make a move. But I think now it's time to really look at what we can do. And I've been saying it the whole time. I don't know what it is. Like maybe it's something that's going on with Xavier Howard, but I don't know why we haven't tried to bring him in for at least a workout right now and see what's going on. Because I think in those moments that we saw in this game, Josh Allen is a hell of a quarterback. I'm not going to take that away from him at all. However, once he gets comfortable in these games against us, especially what we have saw in the regular season as well too, he's going to put points on the board. And then it usually depends on what we're going to do after that and how we respond. And then we didn't respond well at all. But we see the weakness that's going on, and it's starting to become in the secondary. So maybe when we get a Charles Omenihu back, we start seeing more pressure and start seeing more sacks against these type of teams. We got to think about with the schedule that we have coming up as well too. We're still more than likely going to probably close out this division within the next 3 games, depending on how that goes, because you do have the Panthers, you have the Raiders, and then you have another matchup, I believe either the Browns or something like that after that, where it's definitely a game that we should win. Now, we didn't win against a guy like Josh Allen tonight, who more than likely we're going to see again in the playoffs. We it's more than likely a given. But maybe we can be ready at that time. But yeah, it was ridiculous. I was definitely surprised on that 4th and 2. Somebody should have been prepared for that, and I knew he wanted to go ahead and run. I knew he wanted to run. He would. If anything, I will give him Josh Allen his respect for that. If they're going to lose a game, honestly, he's going to put it on him to lose that game. He's going to put it on him. And I can respect that. And he said, no, I'm going to go out here and actually go ahead and get that win. And it's expected, man. We went into their home in the playoffs and, shut their mouths. And they were heartbreaking. They were ready to come out in this game, man. So you got to, just a round of applause to them. All I'm going to do is I can just get praise because everybody going to talk about, yeah, I told you so with the Chiefs. I told you so. Yeah. I mean, still at the end of the day, 9 games, you win 9 games, you win 9 games. Don't care how you do it. Don't care how you figure it out. You win 9 games. That's what it is.
And I think the Chiefs were completely content to lose this game, and I think that's what the school board boils down to, the fact that they were willing to lose by 9 points because they knew that even if they lost this game, they were still going to stay ahead. Obviously, you would have wanted to stay undefeated, but at this point, you're still the only one-loss team here in the AFC, which keeps you ahead, but you also cannot drop another game if you do not want to fall to Buffalo because of that head-to-head matchup that the Chiefs unfortunately lost on here this afternoon. And it might be safe to say this might be a too early projection, but that final week of the season where it's Chiefs versus Broncos, the game that Bo Nix and the Broncos played today, that may be a game that the Chiefs have to win in order to seal up something, and it may be a game they have to win. All of a sudden, arguably some of the toughest games the Chiefs have left on their schedule involve their AFC West divisional rivals. But now the Chiefs will focus on a very quick 2-game week where they take on the Carolina Panthers here this following Sunday, and then come right back to Arrowhead on Friday in the afternoon for Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and host the Raiders. So the Chiefs have officially succumbed to their first loss since Christmas of 2023 when they lost to the Raiders last year. So Dale, I'm going to leave it in your hands here. Which Chiefs side of the ball do you feel like excelled the most and deserves to be talked about second, and who deserves a lot of the finger pointed to?
It's kind of tough because with this type of loss, really both sides really did not look great today. However, giving up the first 30, like our first 30-point game for that those consecutive games, I guess we gotta say that though that's the side of the ball who probably did it for us at least, because typically they keep us within range to have another chance. Wasn't able to happen today. So I think I guess we can go ahead and give a little praise to the offense before we go into the defense.
Okay. So the Chiefs had 3 total touchdowns, the 3 lone scores in this game. So their new field goal kicker did not have to kick anything other than PATs, and all 3 of those were good. Chiefs had 4 punts in this game and 2 interceptions on Mahomes' part, and one of those coming at the end when the Chiefs were trying to make that 2-score comeback and failed to do so. So what was the story for you on the offensive side of the ball, and who deserves the thumbs up on their side?
You got to give praise to Noah Gray. He stepped up today. When it mattered most, he got the 2 touchdowns, was the leading scorer in his game. And I think, you talked about it earlier in previous post games, and also I believe in your shows as well too, that he has been a guy like why we haven't been trying to get him involved more. You see, Travis Kelce didn't really do too much today, and Noah Gray stepped up as the tight end who actually put in some of the work. So great job for him. And then just thinking about why, what we've been seeing in the chat as well too. I would say this, y'all right to an extent. Um, the offense has looked horrible in some of these games this season, and we probably should have had a couple of losses already. However, I do think like in situations, especially when it is within a a 1 score game, they can make it happen. They can get down the field and put up points. And I think that's what keeps my positivity up for them, because I know they're giving up a lot. And it's really because of the quarterback, our quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And I said it before as well, too. When you have a quarterback like that, it's like, all right, like, yeah, I'm going to give you your criticism. But at the same time, I know that you can step up as well, too, and make it happen when we need you to happen. And he tried to do that in the late part of this game as well, trying to have a deep, a pretty decent run. And then he had one, and guess what happened? The penalty didn't bring it back, because I still had somewhat faith with a touchdown and hopeful that, a lot of odd things do go in our favor. Maybe we could get, an onside kick. That's why I wasn't as hurt. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I see that they can be electric. I do see that they can be electric. Now we have to stop with turning over the ball and having those penalties when we, convert a third down, or we're going down the field and maybe we're getting 3 to 4 yards, but then on that next play we get a penalty where it's a holding, they bring us back 10, and now we're in a 2nd and 14, 2nd and 13 situation. We got to get out of those. We have to get back discipline on that side of the ball, because we have the talent. And then, with this schedule that's coming up as well, too, we're going to get the needed wins again in the playoffs. And who's to say what we get back when we get to that as well? Pacheco will be back soon. You have more explosiveness in the backfield. You have wide receivers that's doing a lot better as well, too, where it's not that they're not really losing the game for us. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not too much to be upset about, but I do respect the criticism. The criticism is deserved, but at least we put ourselves ahead of the curve, because guess what? First of all, we already have a winning season. We won 9 games. You already got a winning season now. You're done with that. Now let's go into these next couple of games, even though that it might not be great talent that we're going to be facing or great teams that we're going to be going against, but you can still fine tune some of those things that you do need to kind of get together before you get to the postseason, and we can take advantage of that. We've seen it in the chat as well too. Bills got a tough schedule going ahead. They do have the 49ers. We don't know how that game will play out. They have the Rams. They have the Lions, who is playing phenomenal. Even if we do get one more loss, if they get another loss, they have 3 losses on the season, and we can stay in that number 1 seed. So when you put it like that, that's why I'm not as frustrated. That's why I'm not as worried. But y'all right, they need to get it together. They need to tighten up. I mean, we only scored 30 this season. That's the highest we got to. That's what they scored on us. So seeing that the highest we gave up this season is 30, and the highest we scored is 30. We can compete when it comes to it. And it ain't too much to worry about. We know when we get into those situations, we get into those games that actually matter. We wake up. But Noah Gray, great job today. I give him that. Great job. Xavier Worthy, if you would have had it, if you would have got that in, and we would have scored off that drive, and we would have shifted that 9 points like Clinton said, you would have got it from me. Because we wouldn't even be somber like it seems like right now. I'm cool. I'm fine. I'm fine.
and I'm giving the spotlight to him. He was the leading receiver in receptions and yards, surprisingly, and should have got even more than that. And I already mentioned, you can't keep making this mistake. You are our deep ball threat. You got to come down with these deep balls in some capacity. And the size of the ball of the field has been the same ever since you made it here. You've got to be able to adjust by now, because we've seen it several weeks in a row. So it's not only a problem, it's like a continuous problem. So we need Xavier Worthy to break this, because it is very clear that this Chiefs offense is relying on him to be this deep threat and to get these targets that maybe a Rashee Rice or previous Tyreek Hill would have received. And I
Hollywood
almost
Brown if he was
wonder,
out there.
yeah, and I almost wonder if Worthy is almost kind of scared of getting that role, or is not ready to take that
The thing
that
is,
role
he
on.
get open though. That's the thing. It's you get open, so it's nothing to be scared. Just I think what he has to work on going forward now, and I think Pat is probably going to talk to him more about that too. And the wide receiver coach had to be like, "Hey, you're getting open now. When you know you're going towards the sideline, you're getting towards that gray area. Let's start watching out where we at and start getting your feet set beforehand. You're doing a great job because you know what he's focused on. What did we deal with last season? Drops. He's not even having that many drops. He haven't even had that many. In some of these moments where he catches, like, oh, you had it. Now we just need you to get 2 feet in. You get 2 feet in. A lot of these games that we played before, they talked about it even on Kansas City radio as well too. We will be singing a different tune about Xavier Worthy right now. He is a threat. Maybe this threat will come out towards the end of the season when we need it most, because at least it's flashing and it's consistent. And they're not scared to target him as well.
All right, and we already brought up this, that yes, the Chiefs need to make sure that their tackle situation is cleaned up, and yeah, I do think at some point the Chiefs kind of were saying, we are afforded a loss to this game, and yeah, undefeated season's only important to the fans and to legacies, and I think the Chiefs are more focused on their Super Bowl, and it's obvious that they did not feel like this game was a must win, or I feel like they would have, done things a little differently. Dale, you had mentioned you would want them to go for it inside their own 30. If it was a must win, I think they maybe change their mind in that situation and go for it and do something risky, because they have that sense of urgency. But it was clear that they did not have that, and were almost kind of conceding the game toward the end there. And that third and fourth quarter was brutal, as nothing was working for the Chiefs.
I think that's a
That.
homer. I think that's a homer in us sometimes as well too, where what people other fans don't understand about us with Chiefs fans, like y'all try to get on us about losses and stuff like that. We dealt with this beforehand. We know how to cope with a loss. We know how to just like, you know what, this happened. It could go a different way. And in the last 2 seasons, we kind of said that, and we lost the most games with Patrick Mahomes last year. And guess what happened? You ended up having a two-peat. So, all I'm saying is I'm not going to go out here and be that fan and be like, oh, we wanted to lose. No, we didn't want to lose. If we could beat you as basic as possible and just really get away with a win, they're okay with that. I think they're definitely Andy Reid. He doesn't. We're at the point now where we showed you within the first 2 seasons of Mahomes started. We showed you he can be a phenomenal guy if you really want him to go out there and just sling it around all day. He can do amazing stuff and get amazing stats. Okay, we're in a position now. Defenses wants to, they're not allowing that anymore. You're not just going to have the Mahomes magic on every possession or every other possession where you're just making a goal and you're putting points on the board. No, we're not going to have that. So guess what? You have to be strategic. I'm going to be strategic. All right. Yeah, they're not letting us go. The energy is a little shifting a little bit. Yeah, we might not have this one, but guess what? We're in week 11 right now. We're 9-1. We took our first loss of the season, and guess what? We're still ahead of them 1 game, and they still have to have a bye week as well. You're looking ahead of time. It's like, okay, we're not gonna let that worry. What's great with this Chiefs team is I think even when the losses that you have, you're not happy or satisfied about it, but you don't let it get to you. You don't let it ruin or bring you to a horrible mood. Okay, you're gonna give up one. It's the NFL. You're playing against other professionals like you. How many we broken their hearts too many times? They can't keep on allowing that. And I actually respect the Buffalo Bills for real. They really the little brother. They like the little brother where you got to win. All right, I got you. You got a little dub right now. When it's time when Big Bro got to do it, handle business. We gotta go represent the AFC though. We gotta bring it in. You gotta have that. It is cool. You see the relationship. I respect Josh Allen. I like him. If they was to get us, I want them to get it because we ahead. I told y'all this before in the offseason. And then, I like to ramble when I get into my, I get happy a little bit. I start thinking in my head, like, I told y'all, when it comes down to it, Mahomes, we're three Super Bowls up. It's going to take you a lot to catch that. And who says what happened next season? We never know. But guess what? You got to catch me. But catch me when it matters, when it comes into the postseason. But great job, Dave, for real. They got the win. They kept themselves up. They're trying to win the division as well too. And you heard Josh Allen say it after the post game as well too. He doesn't even talk stuff. He be like, we're gonna see them again. Nobody like to do that no more. Like, no, we gonna wait till we get there. We need to beat them when it matters. Yeah, we got the win today. We need to beat them when it matters. So calm down. Y'all can be happy. I sent my money already. That little week, little $50. You can have it. I won it earlier in the year when it mattered, when I needed it. So it's good. I'm just cool. I'm coping well.
Okay. So I think there's one more point to talk about on the offense, and then we'll transition to defense. So Kareem Hunt only got less than 15 carries this game. At times was able to run the ball well. At other times, just the bare minimum. Do you kind of equate that to the nature of the game and the fact that throughout this entire game the Chiefs were behind throughout its entirety, or do you think that there just wasn't a design to get Kareem involved as much?
Yeah, but we had a couple, it was a couple lead changes from the beginning. Just when it got to the second half, both of them didn't score, and they got that last score, and it kind of pushed them, of course, ahead after that, and we're really chasing. With Kareem, I do think that they are trying to preserve it a little bit more. I do think they're hoping for the return of Pacheco next week, because Kareem running style is going to be needed in the postseason. When you're trying to limit possessions, you're trying to run out the clock, when you got those bodies in there, when you need them to go rumble and get you the yards that's needed, I think, that's what they want to get into. He's been hammered. He didn't have games where he had 20 plus carries and had one that he had 27 and 28. So I think they wanted to get more guys out there like Carson Steele and also Samaje Perine as well. But at the same time, we still forgetting that Clyde is available as well too. So maybe when it comes to it, when they do get Pacheco back, they might want to activate Clyde a little bit as well too. Maybe have some games that Kareem is out for a little bit, start getting that needed rest, because he's been beating up his body a lot. But I do think they wanted to preserve. So it is what it is. I think if they, like you said, you got to be strategic, do we want him? Like, we could grind it out in this game. We could have grinded out in this game with him if we wanted to. And we know when we do that, we do put points on the board. But for them not to, do that, maybe they were like, we're just going to try and make it work with what we have. And we put you in there in just certain situations where you can probably help us elevate and get us and keep us within, striking distance. So who knows? But it is what it is.
And I lied, because I have one more offensive question for you, and it involves a player that did not take a single snap on the field today for this game. Mm-hmm. What do you make of your supposed day one starter left tackle Kingsley Suamataia getting completely inactivated for this game?
Maybe it could have been a punishment. Not like a severe punishment, because you're still on an active roster, right? But more so like, hey, kid, we need you to start waking up. We need you to start, of course, getting to where we need you to be. From you being a day one starter, then losing your spot, and then coming back in, and then getting exposed in those games that you had to come back in as well too. And you kind of was the reason for our shift on the offense. I think they was like, you know what, we want to stay away from that. Let's go ahead and try to, just give you a slight punishment to just wake you up. However, we didn't see Nate Taylor said, maybe you do see them bringing Donovan Smith for a workout, see what his body's looking out, or maybe a David Bakhtiari as well too, Bakhtiari, just to let's see where you at, because if we can get a vet over there with Joe Tooney, and we have more time in the pocket, honestly, Mahomes would be lighting them up. He would probably be lighting them up a little bit more, having that time, being able to move up and everything like that. So, with Kingsley, I think just more of a punishment.
Okay, yeah, we'll see if he can make his way back into
Hopefully.
an active role next week as the Chiefs take on the Carolina Panthers. So thankfully they got their loss out of the way, so that way they won't get a weird loss against the Panthers, and they can, as you said earlier, continue to play very vanilla into the win, and I think finally turn on the Jets against the Raiders in that Black Friday game. So it is now time to officially transition over to the defensive side of the ball, and boy, 30 points, not something you would expect the Chiefs defense to do at any given time. And I think if you had said, the Buffalo Bills score 30 points in this game, I think you say they win, because the Chiefs have not been capable of getting high up on the scoreboard this season, and that's not the type of game they choose to play anymore in terms of their aggressive play style. So if there was anybody that was a bright spot on the defense, who was it? But what do you make of this 30 points beating, so to say?
Well, Josh Allen just did what Josh Allen does in these type of moments when, he got to put the team on his back. Definitely made a lot of great passes. Amari Cooper stepped up early in the game, had a couple big catches on us as well, too, which gave them an early lead. And then also just what he was able to do on third down, especially being efficient on third down with passing, and also being able to find an open hole and get up in there and, of course, convert the first down and keep the drive going. So I think that's what really kept us away, and they controlled the time of possession as well too, which in every game that the Chiefs has won, we were winning the time of possession. So they neutralized that, and that's why they were able to, of course, keep Mahomes at the field and also keep that offense, of course, cold in those moments as well too, get with their big stops that helped with that. But I think overall they were just working on secondary. Curtis Samuel had a couple big plays. Shakur, of course, had a couple great third down catches. Dawson Knox stepped in well while Dalton Kincaid was out, and he was just getting into guys that was other than other words wasn't their like their supreme weapons, but at the same time they were able to get it done. And then James Cook, once they got into the red zone, he just running down our throats, and did what they had to do, and of course put points on the board. So overall, at times our run defense was we didn't really give up that many yards, of course, per average on attempts. However, they just got into position where they could convert on us, and they was exposing guys like Najee Johnson and also Joshua Williams as well. So we got to figure out that corner position, and we always it seems like we have to create pressure within certain blitz packages as well too, and we need to start finding a way to get home with just 4 or 5 at that time. And I mean, you saw George Karlaftis be able to get out there, get that bend as well, but in those moments we weren't having a spy on Josh Allen. Why? I don't know why we weren't doing that, and that's something that I even said in the extra point video as well. You should have a guy like Drew Tranquil or Nick Bolton be just mirroring him throughout the game, because we know once the pocket collapsed, he's ready to use his feet. And it's like they weren't ready for it. It was weird. But overall, they just didn't step up. They definitely could have had a better game. But I'm sure Spags is going to go into this week, go into the film room, get into practice, just go ahead and fix a couple things, get it tweaked out, get it together, and then get prepared for this next game against the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, this game was brutal to watch defensively.
Yeah.
There were some times where the Chiefs defense got stops, but they were few and far between. Buffalo had the momentum right away, 2 plays into the game after Mahomes threw that interception, and it was an uphill battle ever since then. Some obviously you don't concede at that point, but it looked like the defense knew that they were in for a struggle, and they were able to keep us in there for parts of the game. But when you just take a step back and look at the overall performance, you have to throw up some red flags.
Mm-hmm.
And, six the PAT no good in the first quarter, but should have been 7 points in the first, 10 points in the second, and then 2 touchdowns here in the fourth quarter. At a time where the third quarter was nothing but 0 and punts back and forth. The Chiefs offense needed to respond at that point, but the Chiefs defense also needed to continue that momentum and play that defensive game. And not keying on Josh Allen there at the end was the difference maker. And it's always their strategy, and seems to be the strategy every game they play against us. And last season, the divisional game, when they chose to put it on their kicker's plate instead of out of Josh Allen's hands, that was a difference maker. And much like Lamar, I think, has that over my dead body, Josh Allen definitely has that. And whenever they can have that influence to maintain the possession of the ball and to win the game outright by themselves, using themselves doing so, they're going to choose to do that. So Josh Allen and quarterbacks like that tend to always have our number, and so it's very obvious we're going to be seeing this team again later in the postseason. And yes, Dale, you're absolutely right. It's unlikely the Chiefs will have a total collapse and outright miss the playoffs, or fall super low in the seeding for the playoffs. But this could have been a difference maker between a 1 and a 2 seed, and it also ensures that you got to play to your best ability the rest of the schedule you have. And we can go down the line and debate wins and losses against some other teams. Some 2 divisional matchups come to mind as some tough ones ahead, and of course you have a third one for Black Friday. But it was already mentioned, Buffalo's got some tough games of their own, and I think to this point we may have been the 3rd or 4th team that had a winning record. And we were, I think, their second victory. Like, they were only 2-2 against them. And the Chiefs have been, fortunate in their own regard that a lot of their matchups they've had are against teams that now show as a losing record or barely at 500. But it's tough to call that when the game is going on. So, but I'm going to say I need to see Chris Jones make more of an impact. I know he may be getting double teamed. We saw some single one-on-one matchups, and he's winning them, but he's not coming down with a sack. You're that leader. You got to make that impact. You got to bring Josh Allen down. I know it's tough, but somebody's got to do it, and it's got to be the leaders of the team. So I think we need to see Chris Jones kind of flash more. I know most of his impact isn't on the stat sheet, but I think it's time for him to get, noticed more and be able to flash off the screen 5 to 7 times a game instead of arguably 1 to 2. So,
and I would say that when you see the difference in it as well too, like, I know a lot of people want sacks as well, and I'm not saying, like, you're not wrong as well too. It's a couple of times that he actually could have run them down, but when you're playing an elite quarterback at this level, even with you getting a hand on his arm while he's going through his throwing motion and getting it off, that helps along the way as well too. Where of course you're forcing those incompletions, you're not giving him those moments, and that can help him. That can help us along the way with screwing with his confidence, because once you start getting attacked, you start getting hit. I don't think in this game we had a sack at all. The only big pressure that we had was McDuffie getting back there, and Josh Allen was able to throw it away, but we were able to come up with, of course, a 3-and-out and force a punt. So yeah, you're right. He does need to step up, and I wanted him to even have a game clincher sack in this game, because typically in these moments that's when he come up big for us, but he wasn't able to do it for us today.
Yep. So, what are your final takeaways for the game, and what do you need to see get resolved for the Chiefs to be back on the Super Bowl marching path?
I mean, my final thoughts for the game is, tough loss. Maybe we can say that we needed that loss, and you wanted it. I always want to win. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. I want to get that W. But at the end of the day, we can learn from this. We can come back from it. We kind of observe what we need to observe. We can get prep and prepare for once it comes to the playoffs as well, because we know even in that matchup as well too, they're going to try to give it their all, because they haven't beat us at all in the playoffs, and they've ready to get their first win. So I think, what they learned from this is offense. It's time to start putting up more points, starting to be more efficient. Let's not, get off the field on those 3 and outs, even if we get those field goals, but we need to start putting 7 on the board a lot more as well. It was a good job getting 3 touchdowns today, a couple field goals. If we have Becker, so we could be at 27, could be a different story. Who knows? But I think we just need to come into those games, come into those matchups a lot more prepared and firing off a little bit quicker. And that could put us ahead of the curve as well, too. Defensively, hey, we got to get it together. Y'all been holding on holding on for us for the past couple of seasons. I know these past couple of weeks has been rough, and we've been getting hit with the injury bug. But for the young guys, this is your moment to step up, because when we drafted guys like Trent McDuffie, we brought in a Jalen Watson. You had Joshua Williams as well too in that time as well. When we needed them most, they were able to come in and start making plays. Najee, he's been getting a lot of praise from past training camps. You are supposed to step up and be that guy for us, and we had a lot of praise and was thinking that you would come out being that number 2 cornerback. So we need to start seeing more improvement on that side of the ball, in that particular position group. But hey, looking at the schedule right now, you got the Panthers, you got the Raiders, and then you got the Chargers and the Browns. All but 4 games are definitely winnable. Chargers game might be a little bit tougher, because they've been playing a little bit well, and they also been holding offenses to 13.1 points per game. So that's going to be another fight that we have with them. But it will be at home. So with the Panthers, hey, you going to Carolina, but they're one of the weaker teams in the NFC. Then you got the Raiders and the Chargers after that, back at home. Those are the type of games that you have to win. Honestly, you win 4 more games, you're solidified in playoffs. Honestly, you win 3, solidified. So go ahead, take this loss, to the chin, but come out regardless of what people are going to say. They're playing a weak schedule. You still got to win the games to get to the postseason. And then we'll talk about what we talk about when we get to those games as well too, because we've been doing our part for the past years. So we can't be worried about that. But don't be looking too far ahead. These games right now matter. You have to still win these games. It's still the NFL. So we got to come out with a different attitude. We have to, of course, get prepped and get ready for that. But hey, we'll be all right. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and I agree with your sentiment. I think that's why I'm still ending my final thought with a little bit of a somber voice. That not necessarily for the undefeated season, but more so just what I felt was a lack of effort, or just a lack of execution on the Chiefs' part on both sides of the ball today. And the only reason that I can continue on with my night and continue on this next week and feel obviously confident against the opponent that we have on Sunday. And I don't mean to take the Carolina Panthers team lightly in any way. I'm not saying anything insulting in that way with my point here. But just that the Chiefs knew that this game was affordable to lose, and they're not ready to put the accelerator on. They are still in cruise control, and I feel like they still have the capability to do that throughout the rest of this month of November, and maybe into December, depending on what the rest of those matchups start looking like and the significance of that. But the Chiefs only have 1 loss in their schedule and continue to be, number 1 in the AFC. And I assume the Chiefs would like to stay as such, and believe that having the sole bye week and home field advantage in the playoffs is, important. Not saying that it's necessary, but you need all of the outcomes and things in your favor to be able to do something that has never been done before in the NFL. So, an undefeated streak and a three-peat was probably too much to ask, but I think, we're still in a good spot to keep asking for this three-peat to happen and just believe it and hoping for it to come true. But the team has some adjustments to make, and they have arguably a pickup game coming up here in a week, and then have another divisional matchup to focus on in a quick turnaround in a 2-game week, basically. And you know how much Red Kingdom Media loves those, where we have 2 games happening in a singular calendar week, and
very quick.
The fun turnaround that is. So anything else that you want people to know about in terms of this game before we go ahead and send them off?
We got to the juggernaut of the schedule in the beginning. Having the Ravens and then the Bengals right after, being able to get through that, and then just win all those games up until this point right now. That's why we're sitting in a pretty position to where this loss, like you said, was affordable. We lose this, and then guess what? We got a couple games after that where it's definitely doable and winnable. And depending on how our conference and our division go with that as well too, who knows what we can say where we can clinch it early. So we're still in a good spot. I think we're still comfortable. It's just now let's go ahead and go into the remainder of these games, and let's have some strong outings. Let's build up our confidence. Let's kind of of course, even though the teams that we might be playing, let's of course have them talk about this offense waking up for the last couple of weeks and being like, hey, regardless of the team that they're playing, they're looking a lot better and it can go into the postseason. So let's start putting it together. You got one of the greater wide receivers that played this game, and DeAndre Hopkins out there, and even though it was a little bit more of a solid game, he had some big plays as well too. So I'm ready for everybody to get more involved, and we'll be all right. We'll be cool. This loss, take it to the chin. Whatever money you lost is fine. You'll win it all back when it comes to the postseason. So you good.
And while some of us may have some sadness in our voice, one CEO, Clark Hunt, has some anger in his voice as the Chiefs officially take the first loss in their 2024 season, falling to the Buffalo Bills with a final score of 30-21. This has been your Red Kingdom Media Live post-game show. It was not a fun one, but we learned a lot and got through it all together. If you have any more comments or want to get in touch with us, make sure to hit us up at any of the links or ats or hashtags that we have in order to get back with you. We love to chit chat. So with that being said, try to enjoy the rest of this Sunday. Obviously, it won't be a victory Monday, but we'll have a quick turnaround and get to focus on a new opponent. So start shifting to week 12 against the Carolina Panthers. And we will be there covering that game as soon as both of us on screen right now get our content done about covering the game that we all just got done watching. I hope you all enjoyed this show. We appreciate you all for joining us. And as always, go Chiefs!
Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs, Red Kingdom Media.